we are going to be reacting to a theory that is hot off the press. This literally came out 6 hours ago from WitheredCircle. Perfect timing, by the way. And it is all about how MatPat accidentally solved the FNAF timeline and we all missed it. Let's react to WitheredCircle's theory on how MatPat accidentally solved the FNAF timeline.
After all these years, we've finally found the mastermind behind all of FAZBEAR Entertainment's crimes. The one person that kept the company alive, that allowed the creation of the new Freddy's, the VR games, the Funtime service, the Pizzaplex, everything. And who is it? Well, according to a large portion of the fandom, the genius behind the horror is a character we've never heard of.
Who is it?
Mrs. Afton.
We are what? We are literally not even 30 seconds in this video, and I could already tell you that there's nothing of substance here. Take it away.
First proposed in Game Theory's Ultimate FNAF timeline.
Yes.
This 4-video series is great for the time it was released, and even though it's got a few flaws, I think
a few. Literally, I think Game Theory's full FNAF timeline video was the one thing that really inspired me to be like, you know what, I'm actually going to put my FNAF knowledge to good use and try to fix all this scenario. So let's dive into this timeline.
The biggest oversight MatPat made in that series is not fully explaining why he thought the wife of serial killer William Afton was the leader of Freddy Fazbear's.
Yeah, it was
Nowadays,
an odd
most theorists
take.
believe this idea is outdated and honestly ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I'm here to say
just a bit.
that MatPat was right. Just not in the way we thought. Is Mrs. Afton a relevant character? Who's the CEO of FAZBEAR Entertainment? And what new evidence is there to suggest that these two characters are one and the same? We're about to find out. I'm WitheredCircle, and this is the revelation we've been waiting for the past 4 years.
Oh, I'm so excited.
First off, where did the whole Mrs. Afton idea come from? And what even
I thought it was straight
about?
up from
Like I
MatPat's
mentioned
brain.
earlier, the idea of Mrs. Afton being the CEO came from the Game Theorist Ultimate FNAF timeline from early 2023. In it, MatPat told the story of Mrs. Afton, wife of William Afton, who, after the FNAF 6 fire, was left alone, but with the rights to all FAZBEAR Entertainment property.
Yeah, because here's the thing, especially when it comes to MatPat making theories, or even the Game Theory channel, they would say something, and then the whole community would be like, yeah, that makes sense, to the point where the game developers are like, well, I mean, if they're saying that it's true, then we have to make it true, right? And then they go and they do it, and it just messes up everything, and it makes it so it destroys everything.
That MatPat wasn't actually that far off from the truth. The reason Mrs. Afton became a popular conclusion at the time was because we didn't really know who the actual CEO of FAZBEAR Entertainment was. We know of the two original founders of the company.
It was hinted
William
at
Afton
in the
and
Tales from
Henry
the
Emily,
Pizzaplex books.
but we have reason to assume that at some point in the mid-80s, they lost ownership of the company.
In the mid-80s?
That introduces a CEO character that we were going to see several more times in the future. After a long struggle to stay in business after the tragedy that took place there many years ago, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has announced that it will close by year's end. Despite a year-long search for a buyer, companies seem unwilling to be associated with the company. These characters will live on. In the hearts of kids, these characters will live on.
Beautiful quote.
CEO. This same CEO character was mentioned again in FNAF 2 at the very end of the game, announcing the closure of the 1987 Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location. After being open only a few short weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company.
So
it's a minor setback. We are confident that we will reopen someday, even if it is with a much smaller budget.
Saying that they lost ownership in the mid-80s, that's false. Because we know FNAF, the FNAF 1 location specifically took place after the FNAF 2 location, and the FNAF 1 location was based in 1993. They didn't lose ownership of the company in the mid-1980s. I would say they lost ownership in literally 1993 when the last Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was set to close, according to our Faz Facts.
CEO FAZBEAR Ent. Bear in mind that in FNAF 2, William has to infiltrate the FNAF 2 location in order to be a night guard there.
Which is really weird if he's an owner,
FAZBEAR
right? It makes no sense.
For the original restaurant owner, meaning the CEO of the company isn't Henry Emily either. So, with the two founders out of the picture, we have absolutely no idea who the CEO of the company is.
We really don't.
Or
That's true.
do we? Well, we actually got some pretty decent clues from the week before. The
Okay.
best FNAF book ever made.
Literally, I 100% agree.
In it, we play as Ralph, the phone guy, in the FNAF 1 location, meaning we were bound to get some lore reveals about the location and how it works.
Yeah.
And, of course, we do. On page 67, just don't. Stop. I know you want to do it, but don't. On page 67, we see the aftermath of Ralph not performing proper maintenance on the Bonnie animatronic. Ralph's boss calls him up, and this happens. Quote from the book. The next day, you're woken up by a phone call. It's your boss. Ralph, today we had our biggest crowd in a long time, she says. A reporter was even there to see how we've been doing since we reopened, and we were on track for a big comeback story. Guess what happened? You swallow. Was anyone, bitten? Worse, she says. We know you sabotaged the animatronics. Ralph, you're fired. FAZBEAR Entertainment's lawyers will be in touch. This book outright tells us that whoever's in charge of FAZBEAR between 1987 and FNAF 1 is a woman. And yeah, I know, FNAF theorists when they see a woman and all that. But there is actually reason to assume this character in particular is important.
Like, here's the thing. Just because you have a boss, a manager, if you will, does not mean they are a CEO of a massive FAZBEAR Entertainment corporation. So, I don't know how I feel about this evidence point, WitheredCircle. But we'll see what you do with it.
Throughout the week before, we're told that Ralph has a pretty important role in the FNAF 1 location, essentially being considered a manager, even though officially he isn't one. And in Secret of the Mimic, a game
he's
where
like
Ralph
a glorified
is literally name-dropped as an
supervisor.
employee of Murray's Costume Manor, one of the emails William Afton sends to the MCM employees describes an offer for the recipient to become the manager of a FAZBEAR franchise location.
I haven't gotten to that part yet in Secret of the Mimic, but yes, I am aware of these emails.
Skilled MCM employees were offered manager positions in a FAZBEAR location. Who's to say Ralph wasn't offered one too? Anyway, if Ralph...
Hold on, are you saying that phone guy, Ralph, was originally from Murray's Costume Manor? Seems like a little bit of a stretch that doesn't really relate to this theory at all, but let's continue.
Ralph is so important to the location. Whoever his boss is must be way higher up in the company, and almost definitely the CEO described in those FNAF 1 and 2 news.
Okay, no. Almost definitely the CEO? I know, like, you have your basic worker, right? And then you have team lead. Okay, and then you have supervisor / manager, sure. Team leads can also be supervisors, right? And then from there you have the general manager or the branch manager or the restaurant manager, right? And then you have that manager's boss, which is usually like a district manager. And then on top of that, you have another guy who's like in charge of all the restaurants, right? And then on top of him, you have his boss, right? And then on top of that person, you have the CEO. There's a lot of layers, especially with a corporate entity, which we know FAZBEAR Entertainment is. They have several, if not more, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza locations. This is not the only location. We know this because of the week before. I'm pretty sure it said there's like several different locations, but we also know, like, from the guidebooks, it's flat out says that we learn that there are several Freddy Fazbear's Pizza locations. We also know in the Fazbear Frights books and the Tales from the Pizzaplex books that there were like dozens of them throughout certain states. Like, this was a global phenomenon. This was like Chuck E. Cheese on steroids, right? So out of the gate, saying that this person that Ralph talks to is the CEO of the entire thing, very, almost definitely unlikely.
Newspapers I mentioned earlier. Her desire for the location to have a big comeback story lines up with her words from the newspapers too. But could this really be Mrs. Afton? To determine that, we need to look back at where MatPat got his Mrs. Afton theory from.
Yes, I'm actually...
major pieces of evidence for Mrs. Afton's importance.
I need to get a refresher on
before
this,
that,
because I remember when
ask you a simple question.
I remember when I first heard MatPat say it, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But then he like supplied lore, and I'm like, okay, I can see why you drew that conclusion, but then again, like it doesn't make sense.
Let's get back into the 3 most important pieces of Mrs. Afton evidence.
Yeah.
Let's start with the first piece of evidence we get for this character being important: the Immortal and the Restless. This is a spoof soap opera.
Don't even get me started on this fever dream
showing
of
Vlad the Vampire, his mistress
video.
Clara, and their son. This is clearly meant to evoke the relationship between Afton and his wife, with the son possibly being Michael. Despite Vlad's insistence of the baby not being his, it's very clear they're extremely similar, just like how Michael describes himself as similar to William in Sister Location's final cutscene.
They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you.
In the show, Clara is the major instigator of the story's progression. She causes Vlad to try and improve, she burns his house down and steals his diamond ring, and most importantly of all, she's the reason the two are reunited at the end of the story. Clara is important. Others have said the story has more similarities to the plot of Secret of the Mimic, but I think it's more about the Aftons due to its parallels to the rest of the FNAF story. Anyway, this is an example of a Mrs. Afton type figure being shown as important to the narrative. Now, let's move on to our next game, FNAF 6, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, and its most infamous minigame, Midnight Motorist. I'll cut to the chase because we both know what this minigame is about. What I want to focus on is the 2 characters you encounter inside the player's house, the runaway and the couch person. While the identities of these characters are unknown, it's speculated that the couch person in particular is either Michael or Mrs. Afton. While I'm personally leaning towards it being Michael at the moment, I have a track record of consistently being wrong about Midnight Motorist, so I'm totally open to the possibility of
don't even get me started on Midnight Motorist. I can't wait until I
confirmed or anything.
Come in with the fast facts about this
segment.
segment.
Being an important character in the story. And now, let's get to our final and most important example. The Staffbot family in the security breach silo. This table of Staffbots is found in a room heavily connected to the Mimic and how it got into the Pizzaplex, and contains...
Is it though? Because at one point it was Gregory, and Gregory was a robot. Like, there was a lot of crap that came along with Security Breach, and I think it was such a big mess that no one has really ever, like, if you looked at the actual like environment and the actual like fast facts that were given to you in the game, it makes no sense. And I'm pretty sure like there were so many retcons for Security Breach on its own that we don't even know about yet. Like it was just a disaster of a game. I love it though, don't get me wrong, I love Security Breach. But it's like the problem child in FNAF. Like, whenever someone brings it up, you're just like, it exists. You know, I still love it, but, like, I'm not gonna trust it with anything.
Staffbots modeled after members of the Afton family. A headless one for the bite victim, a baby bot for Elizabeth, a balloon boy for Michael, a magician for William, and finally, at the head of the table, a female Staffbot with blue hair.
Like, yeah, like, I would honestly say if you're looking at fast facts or actual evidence about Mrs. Afton, this is the only one. I mean, you can also, like, yeah, the Restless Immortal whatever from Sister Location, the little movie. That's another one, too, right? But the 2 of them together, like, that's really all you get. And none of them really scream, CEO of FAZBEAR Entertainment.
Mrs. Afton. MatPat interpreted this particular bot being at the head of the table as a sign that whoever William's wife was, she was planning the return of FAZBEAR Entertainment and was behind the shenanigans that the company gets up to in the modern era, with her motivation being to put her family
like, the motivation
together.
makes sense.
Well, there's one extremely important connection
it's still
that
weird.
these Staffbots are hiding that I need to get into right now.
What is it?
The trick to tie it all together.
Tell me,
is
Withered
actually
Circle,
hidden
what
in
is
the
it?
files of Security Breach.
Again, with bringing up the game files, you don't need to.
If you look closely at the files of these specific Staffbots, you'll notice...
Because here's the thing, even if you brought up the game files and you confirm that this is Mrs. Afton, sure, doesn't do anything for your theory, like...
that the Mrs. Afton one is called NannyBot in the files.
Okay, sure.
It feels a bit weird and unfitting for a character that's clearly meant to look important. What's more, this NannyBot model isn't used a single other time in-game, only appearing as its clean version in the files. So whatever this bot is, it being a nanny has got to be important, right? Well, let's listen to this audio log from Secret of the Mimic.
Holy, now we're roping in the new game Secret of the Mimic where we don't even have all the lore from that game yet. Okay, okay. Ooh, this is sketchy territory.
Shall we?
Ed, I hope this message reaches you as soon as you get a break. I have to go help the Fall Fest crew, just for a few days until the installation is finished. It's hard to explain. I just have this terrible feeling like I need to be there so nothing goes wrong. Just in case. Trisha will babysit David while I'm gone. I love you both, and I'll be back next week.
Uh-huh.
Babysit, huh? Whoever Trisha is, she's introduced as a character both Fiona and Edwin are familiar with. Fiona doesn't introduce her to Edwin, so she's treated by name right away.
I just realize what he's about to connect, and it makes me want to just shove beans down my pants and scream. He's gonna say, Trisha is Trisha Afton, Mrs. Afton, right? And he's gonna be like, that is because she is a babysitter, and that's linked to the nanny bot in Security Breach that was made years before Secret of the Mimic. That's what's gonna happen. Oh dear.
By this point in the timeline, the Murrays are close with both the Emily and Afton families. So what if Trisha is actually Trisha Afton, William Afton's wife? This idea has been proposed in the past, but I don't think anyone's ever made a connection to the nanny bot before, but don't fact check me. Tying this new appearance of Mrs. Afton to that original line about the babysitter is interesting, and could give this theory more ground to stand on. So far, we've gathered a pretty decent amount of evidence to conclude that Mrs. Afton is important, at least in some way. The week before and its lore revelations particularly make it likely that Mrs. Afton held some kind of important position at FAZBEAR Entertainment in the early days of the company. But
the only thing we learned from the week before is that the boss of Ralph is a female. Newsflash, that's a very common thing nowadays.
there's one question that we need to answer. How could Mrs. Afton be the CEO in both of these eras?
Okay, well, the only
How could
way
she go
is
from being the head
if
of the
both-
company in the 80s to...
Yeah, okay, well, for one, it's not the 80s. We already established that. But for another thing, the only way that that would have ever happened, because FAZBEAR Entertainment, again, it's a corporation. And even getting into the business of it all, if it was a public entity, it's not as simple as, oh, the original owners died and it gets moved to the wife. Like, no. And even then, if it was a public company trading stocks and stuff, it gets moved over to the board of directors, and the board of directors then elects a CEO, votes them in. Like, that's how it works. It doesn't get passed down. Oh dear.
still being there in the mid-2000s? Well, the answer is simple. She couldn't. It's just not possible.
Exactly.
I think
Thank
that
you.
after the By Divinity Free or possibly the
Thank
Missing
you,
Children
Withered
incident,
Circle.
William and Henry were forced to sell the company to a third party to keep it afloat, and that third party was Mrs. Afton, just not the mother of Afton's children by that point. Over the past couple of years, we've received a lot of evidence for the fact that William had another child beside Michael, crying child, and Elizabeth, Vanessa.
Huh?
And I know what you're thinking.
Don't rope the FNAF movie in this. The FNAF movie is not in the same universe. It's literally its own thing, spinning off of FNAF's greatest hits. All right, don't you dare suggest that Vanessa, this Vanessa from Security Breach, is one of William Afton's children. She's not. Don't play with me. She's not.
How is that even possible? Well,
How?
we know
Tell
from
me
FNAF
how.
AR that Vanessa was probably born in 1997, judging by her username and birthday in that game.
Sure.
In Security Breach, when listening to the therapy tapes, we learned that Vanessa had an abusive father called Bill, and that her mother presumably
Bill,
kicked the bucket
short
after
for
he won the
William.
case.
Sure.
Bill, huh? Almost like William. Also, Vanessa is literally stated to be Afton's daughter in the FNAF movie.
No, throw it out. Throw it out. Burn it. Don't use that as evidence. That is not. Just don't. You're reaching in the wrong cookie jar.
Sure, it's an alternate continuity, but it's still a clue. That 1997
Sure,
from FNAF
but
AR
no.
isn't just a random date either. Assuming FNAF 1 happens in 1993, a 4-year time span for William to meet Mrs. Afton, aka Ralph's boss from the week before, experiment with Remnant and Possession, have Vanessa, win the custody case over her, then get spring-locked, isn't all that bad. It even explains why the FNAF 1 location is in a state of complete ruin when the Follow Me minigames happen. This would also be why the Glitch Trap program targets Vanessa in Help Wanted. It knows she's tied to Afton's past, and in its task to mimic him, focuses on turning her into its disciple. So, essentially, Afton's 4 children would have 2 different mothers. The mom of the first 3 Afton kids, and the CEO of FAZBEAR Entertainment, Vanessa's mom. It all clicks together uncannily well. But there's just one problem. Those connections I made earlier between Trisha the babysitter and the Afton nanny bot, the Immortal and the Restless, and even Midnight Motorist, they all kind of fall flat with this interpretation. The earliest we can place Afton meeting the CEO, or his second wife, is about 1985. So what does it mean? Well, I think that in some sense, MatPat could have been right. Afton's first wife could still be important to the story. Could it be that the mimic is using her
okay.
as a
I just realized that you're saying
Could
that
she be the one behind
Afton
the modern
got
era?
married and had
really don't know.
married twice.
The main problem with the Mrs. Afton CEO theory that Matt
dear.
proposed is that the timelines
So
are
there's
way
two
too
Mrs.
far apart and
Aftons?
should be way too old by the time of security breach, which is exactly why I like the interpretation I made today better. It ties together that original CEO narrative while still keeping the timeline fairly normal. Sure, Vanessa being an Afton is something that not everyone agrees on, but I'm pretty confident that this interpretation is correct.
Okay, let's do a little Faz recap here. So I think what happened is with this theory, where it really got derailed is just the lack of knowledge when it comes to how businesses work. I think he was getting confused between transitioning of owners and CEOs. A CEO is not an owner. A CEO is literally a glorified manager. The owners are the owners, and they always are the owners until they sell their company to a different company or a different person. And that person or that company is not the CEO of the thing. No, they appoint one person to be the CEO. But anyway, we reacted to another Withered Circle theory, and again, we rate these on 2 different metrics. Number 1, does the theory make sense and could it actually happen? For this, I give it a solid 2 out of 10. Do I think that Mrs. Afton was ever a CEO in FAZBEAR Entertainment? No, I don't. So there's someone that took the name, that bought out and owns everything now. Who that person is, though, has to have a lot of money to even do that, because that's a lot of assets that you have to buy. Like, not only do you have to buy every single Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location and building, but you also have to buy all the equipment. You have to buy the animatronics. You have to buy everything. And we know that they bought all this stuff because when you look in Security Breach, you see the relics of the past. They're in showcases. And they're like, they literally bought out the rights, the IPs, the copyrights. They've done everything. They even make games that make light of the actual events. Like, this person has a lot of money and saw that, hey, this was a very popular brand back in the day. I'm gonna buy the whole thing and make it even better. And I 100%, like, I think it's someone who has an affiliation with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza back in the day. They were probably a kid and they had fond memories of it, and then we're like, you know what, I'm gonna buy this company and make it better than ever. But yeah, like, it's just weird. So that's why I give it a 2 out of 10. I don't think it's Mrs. Afton pulling the strings in any way, shape, or form. Next metric is, did the evidence support the theory? Now, even though the theory was a 2 out of 10, was the evidence sufficient enough? Honestly, like I said, there was only really 2 pieces of evidence, and that evidence didn't even support the theory in the end. Like, yeah, you confirmed that these 2 most likely is Mrs. Afton. Doesn't relate to her being CEO in any way. The only real piece of evidence that you leaned on, Withered Circle, was from the week before, which again, we established, like, just because Ralph has a boss doesn't mean that that's the CEO of the company. So it's weird. So for the evidence supporting this theory, I would give it, again, a 2 out of 10. There wasn't really anything. I think there was a lot of cool pieces that connected. They weren't fast facts though, but there was a lot of cool details. But yeah, that's all I have for this theory. So I'll see you in whatever Five Nights at Freddy's content you find me in next. Goodbye.